As your structure gets larger, it becomes increasingly more important to be able to filter what you're looking at on and off, to be able to name the things you're looking at, and to just simply find things. In this short presentation, we're going to talk about all those topics. Let's first talk about filtering. I'm in a model view at the moment, and if I draw a member, we can look over in the project manager and see that we have a model filter. The model filter is allowing me to display certain objects. For instance, I can turn the basic objects on and off, like turning members on and off, or nodes on and off. For each of the things that are turned on, say members, I have the ability to show or turn on and off features of the member. For example, its name. I can turn it on and off. If I want to show local axes, I can do that. Similarly for the node, I can change and show, I have its name shown, I could turn that off. And lastly, all of the filters have a very basic setting for basic Windows objects. I can turn on a title, as you see in the upper corner. I can show the coordinate axes on and off. Very important feature is whether I'm going to show this in a line view or a picture view. A picture view will actually show the structural elements in their correct size and shape. The line view, many times for large complicated models, is a way to shrink things down and select easier. Let's now talk a little bit about naming. As you noticed, I drew this member and I have my node names and member names turned on. The nodes were named starting at 001 and 002, and the beam was started naming at BMX001. As I continue to add to my structure, for instance, if I draw a column, the next node created is N003, so that's increasing in order. The name of the member, though, is not a BM anymore, but a COL for column. And if I draw another column, you'll see this has been named column 002. So by default, VisualAnalysis tries to name things according to the type of use the particular object is. If I draw a brace, we're going to see that its name is now V001. V is the shorthand for braces in VisualAnalysis. So we're trying to name things smartly as you go along. Let's take a look at why that naming is important. If we go back to our filter, we can look at member details, and there's an item called name filter. Currently there's a star in there. The star means show everything, don't filter specifically. Here are some things we can do with the name filter. If I were to put in AC and tab out of the box, only things beginning with C show up, and in this case the columns. If I typed in a C and a comma and a B, this would mean show everything that begins with C and B, and I get beams and columns. Other things I can do with the name filter, if I were to use the @ symbol and put in 001, this is the same as saying match anything that contains 001 in it. And as you can see, I'm getting column 001, beam 001, and brace 001. So the @ symbol is very useful. The final special symbol I'll talk about is the exclamation point. This is the same meaning as not. So let's show everything that does not begin with B. And when you do that, you see we're getting the braces and the columns. So name filtering, which can be applied to all the structural objects, nodes, members, loads, is available, and that will allow you to control what you're seeing in the display. Now I'd like to talk for a second about the Find tool. The Find tool is extremely powerful when you have large objects or models to try to locate things. For example, if I want to sort a list based on name, I can click on the name heading and it will sort based on that value. And now I can see, for instance, if I just wanted to select columns, I can select them in the list in that order. So sorting is very important. If I wanted to find everything, sort everything based on weight, I can click on the weight field, or column and have those items sort. And we can see the heaviest thing I have right now is this brace, and I can select it. The shape is very important for me when I'm doing sorting, for example, of members. If I have various size members, I can click on the shape field and then select only shapes of a certain size. The final thing I want to demonstrate about the Find tool is effectively the double click. If I double click on something, it will zoom the graphic view to that object. I've double clicked on column 001 and you see we have zoomed to that particular object. So double clicking in the Find tool allows me to zoom to various quantities in the model. The final thing I want to demonstrate is how you can modify naming. In the Structures tab of the ribbon view, we have a rename option. Let's look at how that works. If I select it, it gives me a choice to rename what? Because nothing is selected, it's either all nodes or all members. Let's suppose that I want to rename all my nodes, but I don't want them to start with N. Let's start them with my node. And how will they be ordered as I'm renaming them? I have various directions I can use for the ordering of the nodes. This order means number them in the X direction first, followed by the Y direction, followed by the Z direction. What number would you like to start with? Let's say I'd like to start with node 100, and I'd like to increment by 10 each time. So let's see what we get when we do this. We're seeing the name now, my node is stuck on all the nodes, and the ordering is going from 100 to 110 to 120 to 130, increasing by 10, going in the X direction followed by the Y. So that's a way to control how things are ordered. If I only wanted to rename my columns, for example, I could select both columns and now select rename, and you'll notice selected members is an option I have, and I could change this name from COL to my column, and let's just use the standard X first, followed by Y, followed by Z, starting with 1 and incrementing by 1, and now you see I have my column 1 and my column 2. So you have the ability to rename things if you do not like the way the auto naming is done.